Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, grade six. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Our this week's topic is how to write down a report, how to write a book review. Okay, now let us continue. What do you mean by a book report? First of all, a book report presents a summary of the plot of a novel and your own opinion of the strengths and weakness of the story. Let's say you read a story, right? And then you are discussing the strengths and weaknesses, or you can say the positives and negatives of the story. Either you like it or not, and you might recommend it to others as well. Okay. So now let us see how to write down the report, a book report. Okay. So before you write a report, before you start the report, you have to read a book. It can be a short story, it can be a novel as well, and then you write a report. Now, I have a good news for you today that I'm going to order a burger for you. And where's the burger? Here you go. It's actually the structure burger, right? So this is this burger. You can say that we have to write down an introduction first of all, and then there would be a body paragraph with supporting things, whatever you like, onion, tomatoes, or maybe whatever you like here, maybe chicken, maybe, for example, beef, and then the conclusion. Everybody loves burger, right? So we have to write down an introduction paragraph, then a body, and a conclusion. Now the question arises here, what to write in introduction, what to write in body paragraph, and then so on. Let us see here. Now, how do you write an introduction paragraph? That's very simple. You don't need to worry about the most important thing. Remember, you have to read the book, the complete book clearly, right? Now, introduction, what to introduce in the introduction, right? The first thing, there are three things you have to consider. The first thing here, in the introduction, you should include the title of the novel, whatever the novel, or maybe a story, or anything else, the name of the author and the date of the book was published. If you know the date of the book, or maybe the date of the story written, you have to have some information about the author, what kinds of novel he or she has written already. And then you can also mention the genre. Genre means what type of story is it? Is it a mystery, or is it a fantasy story, for example, maybe a science fiction story? So you should mention this in the first paragraph as well. Now, what else? Your introduction should include a one sentence summary of the story and a thesis statement. Now, what do you mean by thesis statement? A thesis statement is a sentence that tells you that tells the reader what do you think about the topic, right? Either you like the story, or maybe you believe that you're not going to recommend it to other, or whatever the flaws in the story you can mention here in your thesis statement. Let us see an example here right now. Let's see an example. We are going to have like a kind of book review about a short story from Oscar Wilde, right? And then the title is Selfish Giant. The author name is Oscar Wilde, right? So the story title is Selfish Giant. Let us have a sample kind of introduction. Now, see here. This is introduction, a sample for you. Published in 1888, Oscar Wilde's short story, The Selfish Giant, is a parable about a giant who forbids the village children to play in the garden, right? ये story लिखी गई 1888 में, और किसने लिखी? Oscar Wilde ने लिखी. Is a parable, the story which has which has a moral, right? इसमें moral भी होता है, and which has like a religious kind of, sometime a religious idea वो present करती हैं, right? Who forbids, और story है जिसमें एक giant था. You know who's giant, right? You can see this picture. This person is a giant, right? सो इस जाइंट ने उसने मना किया. फॉरबिड्स मीन डिसअलाउ. उसने डिसअलाउ किया किसको? विलेज चिल्ड्रन को टू प्ले इन हिज गार्डन. I mean, it's a kind of story. So see, we have started with the year in which it is written, right? And और हमने right author का नाम mention किया, story का नाम mention किया, और story के बारे में थोड़ा सा हमने बताया, right? कि इस बारे में story है. Now you are giving, this is now अब हम कहाँ आ रहे हैं? We are coming toward the thesis statement, right? मैंने बताया था कि thesis statement आपका opinion है story के बारे में. Now, Wild Story is a heartwarming story. Now, a heartwarming story is a story that causes pleasure, right? That causes something that is happening because of something positive, right? एक pleasure देता है, कुछ positive होता है जिसकी वजह से आपको एक pleasure मिलता है, खुशी मिलती है. इसे हम कहते हैं heartwarming. So, right? So this is your opinion. कि Wild Story is a heartwarming tale. एक tale है, tale means story that teaches the importance of selflessness and forgiveness. सेल्फलेस मीन्स कि जब आप अपने आप को छोड़ के, सेल्फ को छोड़ के दूसरों की खुशी को इंपॉर्टेंस दें, राइट? इन फॉरगिवनेस, ऑफ कोर्स द एक्ट ऑफ फॉरगिव समवन, राइट? माफी देना किसी को. सो this is your introduction. You started with the story, some information about the story, ये किस साल में लिखी गई, the you mentioned here about the author, and then the title of the story, and then a little background आपने mention किया कि किस बारे में story थी, and then आपने you give your own here the thesis statement, your opinion about the story. Okay, now uske baad, you let's say you finish your introduction. The next step is to write down the body paragraphs. It can be one paragraph or maybe two. So these paragraphs are basically a retelling of the story. जो आपने पढ़ा है उसी को आप retell कर रहे हैं. Means you are paraphrasing that in simple words. You don't need to. I mean आपको कोई ऐसी special vocabulary लिखने की जरूरत नहीं. You can write down in simple words at this level. Okay, and it should present a clear beginning, middle and ending. जो भी story में हुआ है वो सब आपने इसमें दो paragraphs में you can divide. Now, अब क्या क्या चीजें आप लिख सकते हैं? Of course, you can write the setting, you can write about the characters, about the plot and conflicts. Now, what do you mean by setting? You already know that, we discussed it multiple times. The setting means when and where the story takes place, right? You can discuss about the characters, about the positive or the negative characters. For example, protagonist and antagonist, जो भी villain characters है, heroic characters है, or maybe if you believe that कुछ characters important, you can discuss them, right? Plot means chain of events. जो भी important events हुए हैं, you can jot them down in in your book review. And the conflicts means the problem and the solution in the story, the problems or maybe problem faces by faced by the characters, and then the solution as well, right? Now, अब जब आप ये paragraph लिखेंगे, so you have to include these things in body 1 and body 2. Remember, we started with the introduction, right? And then body 1 and body 2 में आप ये चीजें लिखेंगे. Now, you can use these transition words when you're writing down the body paragraph. For example, first, now, after that, during, after a while, meanwhile, then, last, right? Now, uh, the next step is to write down a conclusion. Don't worry, how to write in conclusion, we are discussing that. Don't worry about that. Okay, now begin the first sentence of your conclusion with concluding words like in conclusion, or I think, I believe that, in my opinion. क्योंकि जाहिर बात है अब आपको यहाँ अपना ओपिनियन देना है कि आप दूसरों आपके हिसाब से वो कैसी थी और ये स्टोरी कैसी रही. वैसे तो शुरू में यू डिस्कस्ड ऑलरेडी, तो इसी को यू हैव टू रीस्टेट हियर, और आप दूसरों को ये recommend कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं. So in conclusion, or lastly, or ultimately, these kind of words you can use when you start your conclusion paragraph, right? Okay, so what to include in conclusion? You can include the moral of the story, and you have to give your own opinion. These two things you can include in your conclusion part, right? Now, moral, what do you mean by moral? As you know, that moral is the theme of the story. It is the message that the writer wanted to convey in the story, right? So जो भी moral of the story है वो आप यहाँ लिख देंगे कि this was the moral of the story, और मेरे हिसाब से ये story ऐसी है कि दूसरों को या इस age group को पढ़नी चाहिए. Okay, now your conclusion should include the moral lesson that is learned from the book and your opinion of the story as well, right? And that's it for today. And the whole example, इसको पूरी example आपको कहाँ से मिल जाएगी? We have to open Journey's writing book, page number 28, and this is actually Common Core Writing Handbook. ये आपकी Journey की जो writing book है, page number, you just go on page number 28. और कैसे जाएंगे? This is the link. You can copy and paste the link, or you can write down the link. This link is already available on your Edmodo as well. Just copy and paste the link, access page number 28, and you can see the complete example of a book report. And I hope you understand now. Let me just wrap the lesson. We discussed what is book report, right? A book report is actually a kind of summary of the book, including your opinion as well, right? How to write down a book review or book report. There has to be like 3 or 4 paragraphs or 3 parts. You can say that. One introduction, right? The other one is body, and the third one is conclusion, right? And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Till the next lesson, Allah Hafiz.